But assume for a moment there is a huge win for conservatives in particular, and they're actually able over the next few years to reduce the size and reach of the federal government and cut taxes and rein in the deficit and cut into the national debt. I don't think we need to just assume that. I think we'll get some of that. It's a question of how much. I'm just not sure. And to stop the nanny state, which is growing, Washington now wants to tell you, as if you didn't know, what are the best foods for your kids to eat? That they should take steps to do that. Maybe tax the foods that Washington doesn't like and not the other ones that Washington does like. As Michelle Malkin said, first they came for the Cheerios. Pretty good line. So, we can get serious economic, political, and government reform, but that's not all we need. And there's something else we need, not just in Washington, but around the country. And that is cultural and social and moral reform to underpin the economy and American life in general. I think a society that doesn't value traditional marriage, that doesn't value the two-parent family, that doesn't care much about the collapse of fatherhood, that thinks that easy divorce and one-parent families and same-sex marriage and many, many other things, that those are fine. But if those are the governing ideas and principles in our society, we will not prosper. We will not succeed. We need something quite different. All the things that the Florida Family Policy Council has been talking about. And I wanted to mention quickly, my time's running out, 3 issues very quickly. And they're ones that the Florida Council is working on, and the reasons why I know you all are here to give them both support with your time and your money. Money's important. To start with marriage, I mean, the stuff that has been done so far in Florida, I wish had been done in Virginia, where I live. It's really quite amazing. We just had an election in England where we wound up with a conservative, David Cameron, is now prime minister. And one of the biggest issues he talked about in the campaign, marriage. He talked about marriage. And he said things that are self-evident, but they aren't to all people. He said, kids do best when mom and dad are both there for them. He said people who contribute to the breakdown of family should be publicly shamed. I certainly agree with that, but this is in England. England's not, England's a lot different from America. I mean, we speak the same language, but we're a center-right country. They're a center-left country. And it's very fortunate that we do have a conservative party prime minister. But I wish the way David Cameron talked about marriage, because what he said is marriage is what preserves our society. The breakdown in marriage causes a breakdown in society in England. And it is broken down in a lot of places in England. It's broken down a lot of places here. I'd like to see presidential candidates all over the country talking about that, because they're the ones who can get through all over the country. Divorce. Divorce is a touchy issue. I learned a lot about divorce, and after reading some of the scholarship that's been done by very liberal academics on the children of divorce. And I did a PBS special at a time when PBS was interested in being balanced. They've forgotten all about that. And on the children of divorce. And I talked to many of these children of divorce. And it was heart-wrenching to talk to them and what they go through. And what all the scholarship says, and there's a lot of it now, says that divorce can be devastating. Now look, there have been divorces in my family. Many of you all know of divorces. You may have been divorced. When my sister-in-law got divorced, I think she did the right thing. The point here is not to be judgmental. The point is to recognize the problem. And divorce it has a devastating impact on kids into their 20s, particularly on young women who they found in so many of these studies can't trust men, period. And this is liberal scholars. They've done a great job. They've been honest. You don't always get that. I mean, think of global warming. Well, this is different. Or as Dick Cheney calls a global warming, spring. Lastly, fatherhood. There is a fatherhood crisis in America, and it continues. It continues because of divorce, and fathers just drift away, and it's also because so many children now, a high percentage, are born out of wedlock. It's not just the black family, it's the white family as well these days. It's a horrible problem, and it is at the core, as that video showed, of so many of our social problems in America: academic failure, crime, drug taking, and so on. There's a lot that can be done on all of these issues, and it's just great to know how much the Florida Family Policy Council is doing. But there's such a huge agenda in your lap. It is amazing. I mean, I really was dazzled when I heard John talk about all the things that the group is doing. Really extraordinary. But it's a big agenda, but with prayer and divine providence, a lot can be achieved. You know, God has shed His grace on America time after time in the past when our country has faced real peril, times of trouble and distress, serious problems that have eroded the very nature of our country, and God has shed His grace on us. And what I pray for is that God, in this time of trouble, will shed His grace on America again. Thank you. God bless America, and thanks be to God.